Hey,
Let me put the headphones in so you
yeah,
can hear me
maybe I
better.
should do the same thing. I hear you well. I hear you. How do
Do
I
you?
sound?
Awesome. Sound great.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll just do it this way. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been a busy week. Not over yet. We got Mother's Day this weekend, so
Yeah, better be ready for that.
I'm ready.
But anyway, so this is I've been calling this Watch Talk number five. Thanks for joining me, Perry.
Thanks for having
Peop-
me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I don't know if you know all the other people who I've had. Like I've had Fernanda Zapata on and Adam Pading, and Adam specifically, from Jacob and Co.
Yeah, I know Adam very well.
You know Adam. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Adam was like, you know who you should get? You should get Perry. So he planted the seed a while ago, and then it was kind of funny because I crashed your party. I didn't know I was crashing your party,
Oh,
but
the event
at
that we did
watch
with
time, like
UN.
bad,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, because I'm friends with the FX, and he was just like, "Oh, just come to this place," and I came, and I had no, I mean, I knew it was a UN party, but I didn't know it was your thing,
Yep.
and I remember I kind of wandered up there, and you guys had a lot of people in a fairly small
Yeah.
space, and
It was
and
pretty
and people were
packed.
like looking at the list and like, "You're not on this list," and I was like. I'm friends with FX, and and then I wandered in, and it was quite a nice party that you had
It
going
was a
on
lot of
there.
fun. Yeah, we underestimated how many people wanted
Yeah,
to
I
attend.
think you were a little oversubscribed, just a little.
Yeah.
But anyway, the fact is, for people who are joining in and listening in, I've met Perry a couple times in different watch things, but I have not had the opportunity to really sit down and have a conversation with you. I know you have a wonderful podcast and things like that, but if you don't mind, I just want to like what I like to do in these conversations is just kind of just talk about like how people got into what they're doing, and I'm just curious, like why watches? Where did that start from? Like where like how long ago this had happened? Like what was it that started your interest in watches? I know watches are not your only thing,
Sure.
but since we're let's center on watches, but we'll talk about everything else. But just curious, like where you come from and how did you get involved in being interested in watches and to the point that you have a watch podcast, and
Yeah,
things like that.
yeah, things have escalated quickly. Uh, so originally my interest with watches started with my grandfather, Willis Dash the second. He was a jazz pianist in New York City.
Oh, wow.
Um, not full time. That's what he did on the side. He was also a military man, was in the Marines, and then he worked for the MTA for like 30 something years. But he was also an avid fisherman. And all of these things are relevant because he was the first person that I came across that had a watch for every single occasion. And so
Ah,
he had a watch that he wore when he went fishing, he had a watch he wore to work, he had a watch he wore for gigs that he played. He used to play jazz piano for Nancy Wilson. And
wow.
and then for special occasions and dinners and things like that. And I remember seeing a collection of watches sort of on his dresser and as a kid, and I was I didn't understand it. I was like, why does someone need more than one watch?
You mean the
And
question that our partners always ask us,
yes,
like,
exactly.
wait, you got another watch?
Yeah. And but funny enough, I don't think he ever considered himself a watch
Yeah,
collector. Um,
but he was just like, this is the proper thing.
yeah,
I
he's a
have this
gentleman.
watch to deal with this situation, and he doesn't
Exactly.
think of himself as some ridiculous, person with excessive
Yeah.
watches. Yeah,
Yeah,
unlike,
no, no.
admittedly, I mean, I'm more in that category, but
I'm more on the
I'll let you.
crazy side. I
Yeah.
have more watches obviously than I have hands. Um, but he did, I don't think he considered himself a collector, but he was sort of the mindset that every man should own a watch. And so from there, the bug kind of, I kind of got what we call watch fever. And it just started naturally, I
And
think,
like,
with like wearing
just to
anything on my
just take me
wrist.
back, like this is like you're 5 years old and seeing his watches
No,
on the
I'm probably
dresser,
like
or
12 or 13
okay,
at this time.
got you. Uh-huh.
So
And this
kind of
is
in
here
the
in New
space.
York, by the way. You're like
Yeah,
a
I grew up in
real,
New York
unlike
City.
me, you're an actual
Yeah.
real New Yorker.
So he lived he passed away in 2020, but he used to
Sorry
live
for your
on,
loss.
thank you. He used to live on 87th and Riverside. He was actually next door neighbors to Jerry Stiller,
Oh my
which is
God.
pretty funny.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, but I grew up in the Bronx, and this all kind of took place in New York City. And yeah, it was just interesting. And then from there, like my dad owned watches, and I would borrow his watch. He had a Rolex a long time ago.
Hmm.
I don't know what happened with it, but then he had this Kenneth Cole reaction watch that I like to wear just because I'd never seen at that time a square or a shaped watch.
Oh,
Everything I
okay.
knew
It's a
about watches
square
was,
watch. Okay,
yeah, it
got you.
was everything I knew at that time was round. So when I look back at like pictures of me in high school, I'm wearing that watch everywhere.
Oh,
It was
nice.
like we kind of became mine. I just took it from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
May I, can I, I'm just curious, and I maybe you don't know specifically, but the watch that your grandfather wore for fishing, what was his fishing watch? I'm just curious, like I'm
I
not quite
don't.
sure what I would.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was a digital watch
huh?
that I do know.
Okay,
Maybe something that might resemble a G-Shock, but I don't remember what it was, and I don't think it was a G-Shock.
okay, but it was
Yeah.
somehow for him this was like the right type of watch because I
Yeah,
was just thinking like
was like I
I'm
just
not
remember
quite
it was
sure
like
which watch I would be wearing specifically for. I mean,
it was like
being on the water
plastic.
and stuff, whatever you might,
Yeah. I
but
just remember it was waterproof, it was plastic, it was like something that could take a beating, it was like rugged.
yeah.
It was like
So yeah,
something
it
like a
was just a
G-Shock.
functional like. Well, actually, essentially, I mean, it wasn't what we now watch nerds would call a tool watch, but it was a tool watch. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
waterproof
exactly.
and robust. I can go fishing. I can be cutting up fish, not worrying about it, and stuff like that.
Exactly. It wasn't one of his nice watches.
Yeah, yeah, got
Yeah.
you. I was just curious because I was like fishing watch. Geez, I don't know what
Yeah, I don't know what I would
which
use.
which which watch would that be for me?
I think today for most of us it'd probably be like some kind of
Yeah, it might be a
dial-watch,
G
but
Shock or something.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, so that's like all the way to high school. Then
Yeah.
when's
The
is there
podcast.
like a next like big moment in your kind of watch development or something?
Yeah, I mean, so I used to work for Pharrell
Oh,
Williams when I was
who's
in
that?
like
Just kidding.
I worked for him for like 4 years when I was in came out of college. I did so I managed his wholesale business for his clothing company, Billionaire Boy Stuff and Ice Cream. And he
Really?
used to, yeah, and he used to come by the showroom, and he would, him and his business partner at the time, shout out to Rob Walker, who's still a confidant of mine, someone I can call upon. But him and Rob would wear these like iced out G-Shocks. And so, and
Wow.
at that
Wait,
time,
who
like,
id them out for
I
him?
think it was
It was
Jacob. I'm pretty sure it was
Jacob. Okay.
Jacob. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I just figured going back to Adam, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Jacob. Jacob was doing all of like Pharrell's jewelry back then.
Okay.
And this was around the time when like streetwear was like really exploding because it was kind of like veering off into sort of like a luxury space.
Right.
So
Just
streetwear,
if you don't mind, place this in time. Like what
this
year around?
is like 2009 through
Okay,
2012,
gotcha.
right?
So anyway, so
So
you're seeing these iced out G Shocks, and you're like, hmm.
I'm like, I want a G-Shock. And so yeah, streetwear was kind of like exploding. It was veering off into like sort of a luxury space. And so there was a shop in Soho on Green Street that like at that point in time was like the creme de la creme. It was like bigger than Supreme. That was a Bathing Ape. And
Oh
they were the
wow.
parent company to Pharrell's clothing company, Billionaire Boys Club and Ice Cream. And Bathing Ape had done a number of collaborations with G-Shock, and so those became like
Yeah,
collectibles. They were collectors items at the time.
yeah,
That's how we saw them. At least they
yeah,
do all these funky colors with like different references. And so if you could get your hands on one of them, it was like the thing to have. And these they weren't cheap. They were like two, 300, sometimes $400 at a
yeah,
time,
yeah,
depending on what they were.
yeah.
And that was like the next really big moment. And then when I saw Jacob's five time
Right.
zone, that's when I was like, all right, because the idea that you could have a wristwatch that could tell you show you multiple time displays simultaneously to me was like insane. And like when I saw the 5 time zone, I was like, I'm all
That's
about
pretty cool.
this.
Like, I mean, I know the five time zone, but long after its launch, like I've seen it, but like I wasn't there when it was like you were like on ground level when Jacob was really
Yeah, it
starting that
was
whole watch thing.
100%.
Uh-huh.
This was like in the mix of everything that's happening culturally in New York City and pop culture and hip hop, like watches were very, very present. And it was G-Shock and it was Jacob that really kind of dominated the conversation amongst the youth at that time.
Cool. So anyway, so now you're Jacob Co. You got the five time zone. You're like
Oh, I didn't
really
get
like
one.
getting into.
I still need a 5 time zone. I didn't get one yet. No, it was too expensive for me back then.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
no, I would
Unfortunately,
love one.
you've progressed.
Yeah. There's Adam. What's up, Adam? Yeah, no, I still need a 5 time zone.
Yeah, no,
Um,
it's funny because like for me, Jacob and Co. Like I knew of it, but I only like started exploring it more recently. Not only because of Adam, but Adam, is a friend of mine, and I would go in there, and then I started learning their history, and like they went to the five time zone. I was like, I'd never heard of it. Like it was just
man, this thing was everything for us back then. It was the watch to have. Like no one in my circles at that time were, you still loved Rolex and that was great, but no, it was you wanted a Jacob 5 time zone.
that's
That was the
cool.
watch to have.
That's
Yeah.
cool. And so then anyway, like, so you worked for Pharrell for 4 years. What have you, if I might ask, what have you gone? Have you stayed in fashion? Like, I don't actually
No,
know.
well, I kind of bounced around between fashion and luxury. And
Okay.
so um after Pharrell, I went to work for David Yurman. I did supply chain management for them for a while. Simultaneously, I was running around the art world and I was like curating art shows and collecting art.
Really?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
what kind of, may I ask, what kind of art? Like paintings
yeah, yeah.
or?
I mean, I still collect art, so like there's like
Yeah, I
stuff here.
see it
We're in the
behind you.
studio, so some of this is stuff I've collected like throughout the years or stuff that friends have painted.
Uh-huh.
And so I've always kind of been involved in that space. And watches have sorry, I'm just gonna fix this. Watches have continued to sort of also kind of dominate my collection at that time too. And those are the conversations I was in for a while. It was like art and watches and fashion was still present. I mean, after I left David Yurman for a while, I went to work at I worked for two companies. I worked for a company called Best Made Company, which was really fascinating to me. It was a design firm started by Peter Buchanan Smith, who's an amazing designer originally from Canada and lives here in New York State now. And he had designed these like sort of axes and then this brand around axes. It was like designer axes. It was crazy. And then
Designer access.
what spawned out of that was like a clothing line
Wow.
that was kind of reminiscent of Ralph Lauren. And I was with him for several years, and then he sold the company. And then I actually went to work at Ralph Lauren. I went to work for Double RL,
Oh, really?
which is still, yeah, one of my favorite brands. I have a lot of close relationships there.
Nice.
Um, and then from there, I got back into luxury, and I went to work at another retailer. I went to work at Watches of Switzerland,
Oh,
actually.
really?
Yeah, and
I had no
was
idea you were actually literally in the watch business in that
I
sense.
was for about two
Oh,
years, serving
wow.
in a director role, and I learned a hell of a lot about the business during that time, and made a lot of great connections with a lot of brands. Some really amazing relationships have spawned out of that, and in between those periods, like from sort of like the end of 2020 up until Watches of Switzerland was when we started the podcast. And
Ah.
initially, the idea came about me just really just wanting to get out of my routine. I was just work home, and we were coming out of COVID, things were lifting up, and I was like looking for excuses to kind of just stay outside. So me and Rashawn and another friend, we would often meet at Finelli's in Soho over on Prince Street.
Yeah, that's a classic location.
And that's where the idea for Rich Check Pod was spawned. We would meet maybe once a week for burgers and beers, and we would just talk about everything, but we kind of always end up talking about watches. And then I said, man, I got this idea. Why don't we start a watch podcast? that's maybe a little more casual and take into consideration sort of like the things that we're exposed to and the people that we know. And they were down to try it. And so we found a spot in the financial district and started recording there. And 4 years later, here we are with
Oh my
our own studio
gosh.
and traveling the world. And I'm working on this 7 days a week.
So this is
So
now the so yeah, I was gonna so the podcast is like almost a full-time effort now at this
it
point.
is
Like
it is a full-time effort, and we it's interesting. We've built this thing from the ground up, like super organically, like through events, engaging our audience, and delivering consistent content. And
and I'm sorry, I'm not a podcast like subscriber really.
mhm,
What's your schedule? Like, do you do a weekly thing?
every
How
Wednesday,
every
every
Wednesday?
single
Okay.
Wednesday,
And
we put
is
out a
it a
new
one
episode.
hour? What's
It's
the
about
for? Is it
40
like 1 hour? Or,
minutes, about 40
okay.
minutes, and it's mainly video. We push video, though. We have a
Yeah.
large.
Nowadays, that's the thing that podcasts are basically TV shows. It's
So
funny. Like, if
when
you don't
we
have video,
yeah
you don't have a podcast almost.
when we started with video, and then we
Oh,
moved
so you
over
were early on the video front
very,
then, and
very,
in
very
terms of
early.
podcasts.
Yeah, yeah. From the first episode was video,
Wow. Okay.
and we had then we moved over to audio as well. We have a large subscription base that listens in regularly, but we push audio. I mean video, just
Yeah.
because I think it brings like another context to the show.
Yeah.
I think people get a kick out of like seeing us, and they get invested in our
Yeah, and then you guys,
personality.
you like you say, you're casual. You're kind of on a couch. You're kind
Yeah,
of
the
you're
the
chill.
goal was
You're not like news announcers with like
no, no,
microphones. You
no,
know.
no, no. We try to, I think there was, I always go back to like a comment that was made very early on from someone who got into the show, and they said, they described it as me at a table, having a conversation with my friends and them sort of like ear
Yeah, yeah,
hustling, like
yeah,
what was
yeah.
going on. Like they
Yeah,
want
it's
to
like
know
just kind of
what we're
like
talking
listening in
about.
on what's going on. It's kind of like it's like you're basically doing the Finelli's thing, except you're letting other people listen in.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And that's really how it is. So you get to listen to our conversation, and that's where all the conversations take place now. Like me and Rashawn, we're obsessed with watches still, but it's like, our life 24/7. We don't really talk about it until we're in front of the camera now. Like that's when we kind
It's
of get
almost like,
everything out.
don't talk to me.
Yeah, it's like,
We need material
yeah,
for our show.
yeah, exactly. And we've managed to have some really great guests, and I'm proud of the content that we put out. I think and I'm told that it's really good and the quality has improved and we're still pushing. And we launched late last year a new platform called Super Niche, which we're building out, which is kind of like an extension of myself and my experiences. So I'm trying to deliver people also content from within the art world, wine and spirits, the culinary arts, fashion,
Well, tell me,
etc.
quick question.
Sure.
We already know you collect watches, obviously.
Yep.
Art. What
Yes.
other are there other kind of categories of things where you're like, and actually you would have to admit, fess up that you're actually a
Yeah.
collector?
Denim. I collect denim. I collect a
Okay.
lot of like contemporary and vintage denim. Um, I used to have this weird thing for like collecting spoons, like from cities I would visit.
Really? That's
Yeah,
hilarious. You and my
I think it was
mom.
funny.
You
Oh
and my
yeah,
mom. Like we had like
we could start a club.
so many display cases. Like we
Yeah, yeah,
just,
yeah.
yeah.
So I had bought actually a display case. I saw on eBay like years ago when I discovered that like there was like Rolex spoons were a thing. I bought like a whole shelf of
Oh
them, and it was
my
like a
God.
display case and everything. The display case I wasn't able to put up. It was like it just wasn't for me. But I kept all the spoons, and then whenever I'd have people over, it was like an incentive for me to like ask them if they wanted tea, because then I would drop the spoon in the tea, and then
Just
I'd let them
surprise them with
keep
it.
it.
They'd be like, wait. Oh,
Yeah,
even your spoons are Rolex?
yeah, and then I'd let them keep it as like a memento. So I've given out quite a few Rolex
Oh,
spoons
nice.
over the
That is
last
so
few
nice.
years. I used to collect sneakers, not so much anymore, just because the game has changed. I'm not getting in line and waiting overnight for a
Yeah,
pair of sneakers.
yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah.
Um, and then records. I still collect vinyl records. That's like a really big thing.
I
Different
love that. I'm into
genres.
audio.
Yeah.
I have a turntable
Yeah,
system.
same.
Do you do
Hmm.
just old two channel or what do you do?
I just do one.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
oh, wait. So, but what kind of stereo do you have at home? Like, what do you play
I
it
just have
on?
like bookshelf speakers. Yeah,
Okay, all
yeah,
right. I'm a little
yeah,
bit
yeah.
I'm a little bit crazy.
You're a
I'm a little bit
serious
like,
audiophile.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I saw myself going into that space, and then I saw how much it was going to cost, and I was like, I'd rather do
You're a
watches.
smart man. You're a smart man. But I'll
But I'll
tell
come back
you,
around to it.
I'm relatively proud of myself that like I haven't changed speakers in like 5 years, which is probably a record for me. Maybe even I think maybe I haven't changed speakers in 10 years. You know, it's kind of it gets bad.
Yeah,
But then I also have three sets of vintage speakers that have specific characteristics, and my wife was like, "Why do we have
you can
these?"
hear the difference.
Oh, there's absolutely difference, but anyway,
So
we digress.
there's a place in New York City you should visit. I frequent pretty often. It's called All Blues. Have you heard of this
I
place?
don't know it.
It's
No.
in Soho. I'll send you the address,
Okay.
but it's a they call it a musicarium, but it's a listening
Sounds very
lounge,
cool. I
and
mean,
it's called
I'm
yeah.
sure you're well aware, in Japan, that's a big thing, right?
So
Like you go to Tokyo
the
and
owner is Japanese,
well,
and he's like
there
a
you go.
wealthy Japanese guy who like this is like his retirement plan, I think. And they serve food and amazing drinks, but you have to be quiet. If you talk, they will throw you out.
Yeah, because everybody's having their audio experience and
But
their yeah.
his setup
It's
is
like a
amazing.
library for audio
Exactly.
files. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
That's so
It's
cool.
awesome.
I did not know we had that in New York. Thank you.
Yeah.
I will look into that. And then the other thing I just want to ask you is like you mentioned wine and culinary food. What's your background with that stuff?
I love to eat and drink. I mean, I think it's as simple as that. I'm not a expert in those spaces at all, but as someone who is well traveled and likes food, I'm one of those people that like to share, um, sort of like spots that you've picked up on the way. Just like I'm sharing with you all
Yeah, yeah,
blues. Like
yeah,
the
yeah.
food is equally as amazing as the music, as the cocktails that they're making, and it's just an experience. And so super niche to me is sort of about um it's sort of to me it represents sort of like my upbringing and to where I am right now. And so when I think about like all of the young men and women that were like in New York City or in like these, metropolitan areas or maybe even outside, but like we're curious like what's happening in New York, what's happening in LA, falling in love with streetwear, falling in love with the arts, with hip hop, pop culture, etc. Where does that person go to sort of elevate or get in touch with like refining themselves as they mature? And super niche is what I want to sort of be that platform where you never have to like lose your edge or your cool, the things that you like. You just kind of expand your palette, right? And they all kind of blend in and are part of who you are. It's the same thing. Like for me, watches are no different from art, which is no different from wine and spirits and experiences and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, I totally buy into that. And it's funny because like for myself, like what I try to do on my Instagram, like my Instagram doesn't really. I mean, I start off actually with like my. I had Instagram for a long time actually, since like 2014, but I started my public Instagram in January 22. And I started, and by the other thing is that I only have been into watches like since 2018. So it's not
You got a
like
couple of people beat because let me tell you, the market has grown exponentially. There's a lot of
it's
people.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, it
it's
is.
crazy, right? And then so like for a while I was well, I think my posts were like a little bit funny because like I before I started my public Instagram, I didn't worry about hashtags and all that
Sure.
stuff, right? Because it's like 100 friends. Are you going to put a hashtag on your thing? That's stupid, right? So then I studied this. I'm like, okay, you're supposed to put hashtags and stuff, and they're like, and I'm old, so like they're like, this is not a blog. You should not write a bunch of stuff. And if you look at all my posts, I'm always kind of having to edit back because I fill up the entire space. And I started describing watches like I would to my friend, like a
Right,
friend who's interested enough to hear what I have to say, but who doesn't, maybe knows. I mean, everybody knows the word Rolex, but doesn't really know what Rolex is. So like,
right.
I would just kind of say, like this is a GMT, and it Rolex, with Pan Am put this together, and like how it came about and why I like it and stuff like that. Anyway, somehow that grew, like the first 6 months went to like 100,000 people or something like that,
Mm.
and I feel like the distinction for me from other people who were posting watches was just that I had these long essays, and for some reason, at least some people found that to be interesting.
For sure, there's
Um,
a community for that.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So anyway, but now like I'm doing, food. I have like I've come on themes, and like I have a food thing that I do, and in fact later today I'm meeting with the head sommelier at Cafe Blue, and I'm going to start my wine thing.
Oh, nice.
We're gonna go and we're gonna like start doing some wine stuff. So it's just very funny like hearing you talking about this stuff, and I kind of resonate with all that.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's, listen, we're here for a limited time. Enjoy it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? You have like so many different cultures and people that have spent a great deal of time, like, creating different crafts, different arts, like they're meant to be explored,
yeah,
and I think there's many different ways to explore them.
yeah,
And to your point, like you writing these essays, there's a community of people that resonates with,
yeah.
right? And it's not about necessarily appealing to everybody.
No.
It's offering something to the people that see the world in a similar fashion that you do, or want to explore it, and maybe they just appreciate your voice.
Well,
And
that's another thing that I appreciate about you is that, let's just say that for example, the first time I encountered you, I'm at your watch party, which the only thing I knew was Ulysse Nardin, right? So like
yeah, yeah,
people who
yeah.
are into, but your watch party, of course, express, it's you and your friends, and let's just say that they're like a little bit different, a little diverse compared to your normal watch gathering at
Yeah,
Bucher or
exactly.
whatever.
But that's awesome. Like, and I think that's so cool, and that's why I love the watch industry so much, because the world of watches has afforded people the opportunity to commune together around a shared appreciation, right? And so at that party, we had Sice Bubs, who's a Harlem rapper. Uh, you know, you might not be familiar with the
No,
Dipset, but he had
I
a
have
group that
no,
was an
like, I
offshoot
literally
of the
have no
Dipset
idea.
called the
Right.
Purple City Bird Gang, and across from him is Fred Savage. And guess
Yes.
what? Both of these guys in the same room because they love wristwatches.
Yeah.
Like that is amazing. And then
Yeah.
when you can get two people like that to be in the same space and maybe even strike up a conversation,
No, well,
it's
that was what was so cool.
incredible.
Everybody, like, I could tell I was way out of my element, right? But everybody was just very open and like, who are you? Like,
And,
what
this,
are you?
and
What's going on with you? Like, who
yeah,
are you? What are you up
and
to?
name another industry or community that happens in.
Yeah.
I haven't experienced it, even in the art world. And I love the arts, but it doesn't happen like it does in
It's
watches,
interesting.
right? And so part of what my mission is to take that experience and deliver it to these other sectors and show people how much more enriching they can be when you're sharing experiences with all kinds of different people. It's amazing because everyone has something to offer. You know what I'm saying? We have collectors on our couch that collect all kinds of different things. Last week, this week's episode, we have our friend Greg, who's an amazing collector, who's been ahead of the curve in terms of being able to
Greg
place his,
Works.
yeah,
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I'm
I
saying? When
just
you look
saw
at Greg's
a little
collection,
clip from I just saw I didn't see
his
the whole
collection is
podcast, but I
amazing.
saw on your Instagram, and I know Greg. He's a great guy.
The
Yeah,
great guy,
yeah,
amazing collector,
yeah,
has an amazing eye to have been able to pick out brands that he just
yeah,
loved, and they've gone on to be successful. It makes him look like a genius. And
yeah.
then even the week before that, we have these two guys that everyone kind of knows in the watch community in NYC. Shout out to Jan and James. And these guys literally collect like everything. You know what I'm saying? But they're heavy on like micro brands, but micro brands that are like really accessible, and then also micro brands that are kind of a bit expensive, but like sharing information with us, I'd never heard of. You know what I'm saying? And it's just such an amazing community. We've had those people. We've had Ben Clymer on the couch. We've had,
That's
you know,
awesome.
I had I built a relationship with one of my childhood favorite rappers, like Nori. You know what I'm saying? Who is a watch
Oh
collector
wow.
and an amazing watch collector. He reached out to us like 2 years ago, just like, man, I
Hey,
love the show. I think it's awesome. And
that's so
now
cool.
we text about watches all the time. It's like it's incredible.
Let me take it back a second because, first of all, there are a couple of musical things that you talked about. First of all, you mentioned musicians being at your party. Your dad, or I mean, your grandfather was a jazz pianist. You worked for Pharrell. I mean, you weren't doing his music thing, but you were working with Pharrell.
Hmm.
What do you have any music in your life? Did you participate in music in some way or other? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I experimented with it. I mean, I started to take up jazz piano when I was a kid, but I didn't stick with it.
Mhm.
I had a piano professor. His name was Charles Halcott. And I never forget, he would look at my fingers and he was like, "You supposed to be playing piano." And I
You
was,
can cover like 12 notes.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I was like, man, I want to play football. Like I didn't
Is that
care
what you
about it
did?
at the
Were you a
time.
football? Were you like a high school athlete and stuff?
In my freshman year, yeah, I played football.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Cool.
But no, I love music, and my family was involved in the music industry for a long time, so it was kind of always there. But I always kind of, ran to the beat of my own drum. I was like doing my own thing, and I went and experimented in fashion, and now my family knows me as the watch guy.
Well, that's really cool. Well, I really appreciate this coming on and having a conversation with me. My little, it's not. I don't even know what it is. It's not a podcast. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just enjoying like having conversations with people like you who I know in the watch world and trying to share with the people who follow me. So I
No,
really
I
appreciate your
appreciate
being
it.
here.
No, thank you for the invitation. This is awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I think it's great. That's what it's
yeah.
all about, man. This is why we started, even our thing. It's really, I think at the center of it is just the love for connecting with other people. So
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yes, they're watches, but I think it's to me, it's the community, like you say, it's the
100%.
people, and really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, man. Thanks.
Thank
All
you.
right.
I'll see you
All right.
later.